clone. So I'm not going to get into the full story on it, but yeah, I've had a bit of a hiatus since March in terms of doing these videos. But for the most part, I've been around. I've been doing lots of APP stuff, doing stuff in the background in terms of the videos production that we're doing for each of the meetings, doing the audio stuff, doing a lot of the ops. I'm on the ops team. I'm on the communications team. Occasionally I get
you're talking about with the Alberta Prosperity Project.
The Alberta Prosperity Project, yes. So there's a lot of that takes up a lot of time just all to itself. But in the meantime, and I'll just spew, and whatever ends up sticking to the screen is what happens.
That happens a
so
lot.
at the end of March of this past year, my older daughter, who, if anybody follows the show, knows that she was going in for optometry in the States, and she ended up becoming an optometrist, Dr. Lambert, and she ended up getting a job at a clinic down there. And in March of this year, she was diagnosed with leukemia, and with that came a whole barrage of emotions of not really sure what we needed to do. And the nice thing is, and you know, I could probably do an entire podcast just based on that. But the nice thing is it happened down in the States, and it happened on a Friday. And she was in getting treatment by the Tuesday. Technically, she was also in getting treatment by Friday, but she was actually in getting her chemo and everything done by the Tuesday. Versus if it happened down in Canada here, she probably would have been on transfusions for 6-8 weeks until they decided what they were going to do, yada yada yada. So it's been rather hectic, and she's doing amazing. I just thought I'd throw that out there. She's on her 6th treatment, and it starts tomorrow, and 6th chemo. And so what I've been doing is disappearing for about 2 weeks out of a month and going down there and helping her, because unfortunately, when you're on chemo, you actually don't have any white blood cells. You don't have any way to fight any infection. And so you can't cut yourself, can't burn yourself, really can't go outside. Well, you can go outside. But it's tough to go shopping in a mall or anything like that just to get groceries.
A minor infection would be devastating.
It would be, and it really is. And actually, that came to pass. Last trip that I was there was just under a month ago, and she came down with a fever. One of the very last. Well, it was. We were watching a Jays game, and she just felt that she was getting hot. And sure enough, she ended up having a 101.9 fever. And when that happens, you can't just, take a Tylenol and hopefully everything will turn out. She has no immune system. So we took her to the hospital, and we thought it would just be an overnighter, and she was there for 5 days. So it's been stressful on our family, just in terms of travel, trying to get down there, doing things with her. And obviously I feel so spread thin that I am absolutely transparent. And so what I'm hoping to do is to be able to finish off this last round of chemo with her. Then next month she'll basically get a good thumbs up when she goes in and gets her bone marrow biopsy. And right now she's got a pick arm, or a pick in her arm, if anybody really knows what that is. But it's basically just so nurses don't have to keep poking you in the arm with needles. They go through this tube that basically goes almost right into your heart. And that's how they draw blood and do all that sort of stuff. So that's what they've been doing. And she gets that out at the same time next month. So then she'll be able to, do things. She'll actually be able to do things. So she has been basically put her life on hold since March. And we've tried to do things. We ended up going out to an arcade in Portland, Oregon. That's where she is right now. And that was a lot of fun. We've been to a rodeo, and again, she's either wearing a mask. I'll be wearing a mask if I'm close to her, if I'm in the hospital, because basically that's what we end up having to do. And despite the fact that, as anybody knows that watches the show, that it irks me, understanding that is one way to fight infection, then that's what I do. And I guess that's all I can say right now. So that's the reason why I have not been around. But thank you so much for putting me in your prayers. I know I've met a lot of people over the last few months at our APP meetings, and they all say, first of all, it's Carrie. Where's Chris? That's literally one of the things that they say. But normally it's so where have you been? What have you been doing? And then I tell them, and they are in shock. And really, it is that I should have come out a lot earlier than this to say that. But at the same time, it's like every time I get into it, there's it seems to be more and more of a struggle to actually put this into words. So at least now I've got a little bit of practice putting these into words by saying to people at these APP meetings, this is what's going on. And thank you so much for putting her in our prayers and in our family too. So that's all.
Well, I'm sure people appreciate you sharing that, Carrie. Everybody knows that I love taking every opportunity I can to make fun of you. In this situation, I just don't feel like I can.
No, that is
what I will say is, when stuff like this happens, it's great when people can share it with others, because there's a lot of people that watch our show, things like this have or are happening to them. So, if you're one of those people, just let Carrie know that you're with him and you're praying for him and his daughter, and you understand and that you're here for him. And that's what we're here for, right?
Yes. Thank you. So
you're welcome. So, after that very light intro, I feel like the rest of the show is kind of...
I'm going to have a beer as I usually do. I know Chris isn't drinking anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to have a water. We have a very, very interesting guest tonight, as I hinted to and outright said in another post. We got Berta Proud Dad here tonight. Apparently not talk about anything to do with teachers or something. I can't remember what it was we're going to talk about. But there's a lot to talk about. Carrie, show them the list.
Well, I've got it. Yeah,
this is just today.
This is just today. I know it's...
I see a picture of an ostrich there too.
Well, I could...
So why don't we bring in Berta Proud Dad, and we'll just chat about this stuff. There's three of us here, so we can watch the comments. If you guys have questions, comments, concerns, we'll probably ignore you, but we'll do our best to get your questions. So anyway, welcome to the show again, Berta Proud Dad.
Hey, Berta.
What's going on, fellas? Yeah,
first,
it's I was sitting backstage there listening to Carrie's story, and I just want to say my prayers are with you. I've never met you in person. We've talked a little bit on Instagram. You're local to my area.
Yeah.
If you need anything, let me know.
Thank you very much.
Very close, right? I'm here to talk about just teachers. That's all I want to talk about. That's literally consumed everything about me, and I just want to lay it into the teachers. Just kidding. That's not what I'm here for. But
you had me going there. Yeah.
On that note, though, what is it that got you so fired up? I mean, I know, but why don't you explain? What is it that got you so fired up about this that you've surpassed 30 million views in 28 days talking about what's going on with the teachers?
Well, if we're talking numbers, it's 33 million views on Facebook, and it's an additional 14 million on Instagram, and it's an additional, I think, 8 to 9 million on TikTok. But who's counting, right? That's the thing.
They are.
What got me so fired? Well, the ATA is definitely counting. I can tell you that. What got me so fired up was, we can go back to the originality of all of it. Was what caught my attention was teachers not getting strike pay. And my dad worked for a union his whole life. And I remember he went on strike one time and he got strike pay. So I started digging in a little bit after that, started looking at numbers, and things just weren't adding up. But then we started calling out some of the stuff, the indoctrination that happens in schools. And then people were sending me proof, through text message, people who personally know me. And then I set up whistleblower at bertaprowddad.com. Then I got even more proof of indoctrination and happening in schools, just inappropriate things, right? That don't belong in academics. And then the teachers started opening their mouths, defending this garbage.
Uh-oh.
So that's what lit the fire under my ass. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of teachers out there that just want to go to work, just want to do their job. That is all they want to do. They do not stand with this. They were the ones that didn't want to go on strike and said that their deal was fair. And those teachers have been getting a hold of me up till this day. Whistleblower at bertaprowddad.com is now full of teachers, expressing their support for me. But the teachers started opening their mouth. And then they started accusing me things like, and I have the police report coming, my criminal record, I guess you can call it. accused me of being a child sexual predator, convicted one. That's never happened in my life. And then they went and said my wife and I are divorced. That was new to me. And then they went and just started slandering me. So then, if you want to really light a fire under somebody's ass, you let them know that they're over the target when you start just basically slandering them, right?
Mhm.
So I said, you know what? Enough's enough. We're gonna just keep on digging into this, and we've really seen over the past 4 weeks how disgusting some of these teachers are. So that's what lit the fire under me, to be honest with you.
Well, it's been quite effective. You've been mentioned in the news, in the legislature. You've been, there was a hit piece done by the ATA. I think it had you, Danielle Smith, Demetrius, and maybe someone else on there.
Yeah, the finance minister.
The finance minister. Yeah. So you've become quite the voice, and that's kind of neat because you're just a regular guy. Like you're just a regular Albertan.
I'm a guy with a phone and an opinion, and a taxpayer and a father.
Mhm.
So I care. And you know what? As a taxpayer and a father, I have every right to my opinion. And nobody will silence me. And I think we've been clear in that, because most people, and I'm just being honest, people can disagree all they want. Most people, after going through the shit that they put me through the past 4 weeks, would have just quit.
Mhm.
They would have just quit. But I don't believe in quitting. I've been at this for 5 years, and I've gone through shade during the Freedom Convoy by my own side even, and I'm still here. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to give up. I believe that everybody has a voice. Everybody's entitled to a voice, and I just choose to exercise mine in the way I do exercise it. That's all.
Mhm.
And this thing going on with the schools and the teachers, it's kind of foundational to everything else that's going on. Because if our kids were taught how to think critically, question authority, but respect it, use their own brains and challenge these ideas, a lot of the problems we're facing right now probably wouldn't exist, because we wouldn't have a society that is so, what's the word, apathetic, and I don't know what the word is, dumb. Like,
Yeah,
people
dumb.
just,
I have
yeah.
I have apathy as one of the top topics that we want to talk about, because
There it is.
Realistically, this is the issue and the reason why we're in the shit that we are right now. Chris and I mention this all the time, is that we never got involved in politics for 5 years, same as you, right?
Because
we
we were
sat our
dumb.
ass, just assumed everything was working and whatever, and then COVID really opened our eyes as to what the hell was going on. And now it's like, we need to backpedal and try and figure out how can we get out of this mess. But there's so much apathy out there. People are not voting, people are not getting involved. It's disturbing. And no matter what you see out there, like we have our Alberta Prosperity Project meetings, and they fill the halls that they're booked in, right? We don't fill the Saddle Dome. We probably could get 20,000 people in there if we wanted to, but essentially we have halls 200, 500, somewhere in there, and they are full. Those are the people that are engaged. Definitely they are engaged. And we are now seeing that we are getting younger people going. But the same comments that I get from people when we mention about being apathetic is people are busy, and the young people who are kind of in agreement with the whole separation thing, they agree already. So they say, well, I don't have to go because I'm just going to vote yes.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
optically, it looks like, well, we don't have a lot of people on board, and we don't have a lot of people that agree with us. We do. It's just that they are not engaged. They are apathetic, no matter how you slice.
Or Carrie, they're engaged with other things, because that list you made just from today, this is one of the things on that list.
Yes.
Right now, because people didn't get involved, we let the government get away with whatever they want. We didn't pay attention to policy. Now we're reaping what we sowed on that. And I'm not saying that what's going on with the ostriches right now, and for those of you that are just tuning in, there's a farm in Edgewood, BC. The CFI went in and they are killing all of their 386 ostriches tonight. They'll be dead. They're killing them. And this farm's been fighting them.
Yeah.
What's that?
They haven't been tested since last December, right?
No.
And how are they humanely killing them?
Well, I'm sure they're probably doing it as humane as you can. There's been people come out and say that you can't kill them humanely just because of the structure of them. It's not really a thing. But what I'm getting at here is this is a symptom of a deeper disease. We let policy creep into our federal politics that says, listen to this. This is how stupid this is. If one chicken sneezes in a flock, they kill them all. There was a farm in my area that lost 120,000 birds. 120,000. Now, normally in nature, the birds would get sick, the weaker ones would die, the other ones would build up immunity, and they would continue on, pass that to their offspring, and they'd be stronger going forward. That's not what we do. We just kill them all, regardless, even if there's a suspicion of them being sick. And now we're watching this happen with the ostriches. And it's it's a policy problem, right?
Yeah, I think there's a power in numbers, and people need to recognize that, right? And I see it on my socials all the time, and I get these comments and DMs. I would speak out, except this. I would speak out, but this. And it's always, and I, what? I get it. I do get it. I once was employed by a woke company. I didn't know they were woke at the time. And then January 2024, lost my job for being Alberta Proud Dad. Right. And it's the running joke amongst the haters, right? You couldn't even keep a job. It's the best thing that ever happened to me, because I went from making content 4 hours a day to 12 hours a day. And, at the end of the day, I told myself and I promised myself, I will do this from a cardboard box if I have to. And I am going to start getting involved. And, what people see, on a phone is what they see on a phone, but they don't know what I'm doing in my community. And I keep that private for a reason. Right? There's a reason why what happens in my own community stays private, because these people will go to no end to ruin your life. And so I understand where these people are coming from, except we need to understand the strength in numbers. And like, I've been talking to nurses today because, LPNs have decided they're going to go on strike. I have a whole group of nurses, and I can say this because I'm not going to give any personal information away. I have a whole group of nurses I'm meeting with over the weekend to basically come up with a plan to go against their union, because they're fed up and they're sick of it. That's grassroots level shit, right? That's getting out there and making change. And that's exactly what we need. And these people just want protection. And I'm trying to find ways that I'm going to be able to protect them with other organizations and groups. And that's what we'll do. But, people, we're at a fork in the road here. We're at a fork in the road where you better realize that we can no longer just sit down and take it, because the future of our children depend on this. It literally depends on us. We are the last generation. We give up now, it's done. It's over.
Yeah,
well, there's something any unionized worker in Alberta can do something. You can do something right now. There's two things that I'm calling on the government to do to fix this situation. Number one, split the unions from the regulatory bodies, from the professional association. Your collective bargaining group has no business also being the one who protects the public from you. That's a huge conflict of interest. It started in the 1930s and it's continuing on, and we need to end that. That would give unionized workers actually a bigger voice in advocating for themselves through their union, and it would give the professional association a better way to manage, to keep us safe from them, which is what their job is. The second part is we're watching the same people that cheered and celebrated people's rights and freedoms being taken away because of a cold. We're watching the people who said that people who didn't get a thingy should be locked in jail or forced. We are hearing the same people that said they're going to go door to door and stick those things in people's arms, screaming about rights and freedoms. The teachers, and you know this, Bird Proud Dad, they went on strike for a month. They were given offers. The ATA rejected, or they agreed originally September 24th. Then they said, no, we want COVID boosters. And the government said, okay, we'll get your COVID boosters for free, whatever. Then they came back and said, we want $2 billion more. And the government's like, okay, that's a little much. We can't do that. They went on strike for a month. Kids suffered, parents suffered, teachers suffered. And the government said, okay, it's time to go back to work. We're going to keep working on it. We'll go back to work, right? So they got their chance to strike. If the government had done back to work legislation, the unions would have taken them to court and used the 2023 Supreme Court ruling that said that the right to strike was a constitutional right, and they would have overturned the back to work legislation. So Danielle Smith, our government, not just Danielle Smith, our entire Alberta government said, no, we're going to use the notwithstanding clause because we don't want the federal government interfering in our stuff. We need to get back to work. And now they're losing their minds.
Yeah. And I would like to add to that, though, one big part of that. The government and parents, because let's remember the ATA and the NDP, they're just loud, but Albertans wanted their kids to go back to work or back to school. We wanted our kids back in the classroom.
Yeah. That's right. Now, the second part of this, the first part I said split the unions and the regulatory bodies, the professional associations, into two separate entities. The second part is I say we stand up for the rights of teachers and for the rights of nurses. We stand up for their constitutionally protected freedom of association. And we pass a piece of legislation in this province that says under no circumstances will anybody ever be compelled to join any association that they don't want to be a part of. I want our teachers to have their constitutional rights. So with those two things, we completely neuter the ability of organizations like the Alberta Teachers Association to do what they're doing now, using teachers to accomplish their goals. And we do the same thing with nurses. We give the workers back their rights. We give them stronger collective bargaining. We're standing up for rights and freedoms. We're standing on the Constitution, giving them everything they want. But the tyrants, you know what they get? They get a swift kick in the nuts.
Yep. You're right.
That's what you can do.
Yeah, people like Jason Schilling lose their jobs, right? Like people forget, the week before Danielle Smith invoked the notwithstanding clause, Jason Schilling was given a mediation offer to go to mediation, and he didn't even go to the members. He didn't even go to the teachers before he said no. He just was a dictator and said no. You know what? That's why Danielle Smith used a notwithstanding clause. He didn't even give his members a chance, right? And they're all up in arms. They're bitching, they're whining, they're complaining, and they're crying that their rights were taken away. My question is, what about the rights to the children's education? What about those rights? Why is nobody? But I thought it was about the kids, right? And this is again going back to the beginning question: why are you doing this? There's so much wrong here, and it's all coming from the ATA. And it's all coming out of these woke ass teachers who are proving every day that this is nothing to do with the kids. This is everything to do with destroying the UCP and the Danielle Smith government. And Gil McGowan has even come out and said he's ready to topple the government. That guy represents 175,000 workers.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. So there's something you can do, folks. If you like that idea, send your MLA an email, send them a letter, book an appointment with them, go meet with them and say, listen, as an Albertan, I want to stand up for teachers' rights. We need to do these two things: separate the union from the professional association and give the teachers the freedom of association that they're supposed to have already, that the ATA has stripped them of for 52 years in this province. Do those things and put some pressure on. I've done my part. I sent some stuff on this to some different MLAs and ministers, and it's in their hands. They're looking at it on a silver platter. Here's two bills. You can end this right now. They have it. They're looking at it. They know about it, and they'll do it if we put the pressure on.
I have a meeting with an MLA on Monday. I'll bring that up as well.
I'll send you a copy of the bills. You'll like it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's actually an MLA and a minister. She's a minister as well. So I'm meeting with her on Monday. So yeah, if you could send that to me, I'll pass it along. Yeah,
well, they you know what? They need to work hard and they need to work fast. Our MLAs right now, because the situation in this province, the chaos that's ensued from these. Are we allowed to use the R word? Is that a thing? Trump is the president still?
We use it all the time now. It's avant-garde. It's avant-gauche. It's avant something.
I don't know what he's saying. I don't speak Greek.
I don't like to censor speech at all, and I believe in freedom of expression. You use whatever you'd like to use. Everybody else's triggers are not my responsibility, just like my triggers are not their responsibility.
Good point.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is all of our MLAs, our UCP MLAs, and actually some of our NDP MLAs right now, even though I care less about them, especially considering one's my ex-girlfriend, but whatever. They're facing recall petitions.
Yes, they
for
are.
Basically nothing. Like, you want to describe that what you posted on this earlier, and you posted a shot of a letter, and someone was basically saying, I don't like Angela Pitt, and I can't ever just meet with her whenever I want, blah, blah, blah. And
I'll read it.
We need to recall her as an MLA. Like, it's completely ludicrous. It's retarded.
Yeah, it is.
That's what we're doing. That's what, yeah.
So I did post it. It's on my page if you guys want to go see it. But this is what the recall petition literally looks like. Chicken scratch on a piece of paper. and this is a member of Legislative Assembly. They're looking to recall is Angela Pitt. So Angela Pitt should be recalled from her position as MLA due to repeated and ongoing social media posts that are positioned with unfounded claims and divisive rhetoric, raising concerns about her ability to effectively represent and serve our riding. Her actions have eroded public trust and suggest she prioritized personal agendas over the needs of her constituents. In conversation with many constituents, they have found Angela lacking availability and open engagement in many issues faced in our area. For our community to thrive, we need a representative committed to constructive dialogue and responsible governance. So basically, you didn't like, there it is right there. You didn't like what she said on social media. You disagreed with it. And then your opinion is that she should just lose her job. So basically, you know, this whoever this guy, Derek Keenan, and guys, before we go anywhere, this is not doxing. This is all public information. Anybody can pull this up. So all of this information on here is public. And Mr. Derek Keenan, what it is you got your feelings fucking hurt. And now you're like, oh my God, look, I'm going to go do something. I'm going to recall Angela Pitt. Angela Pitt is not going to be recalled. She's not.
I'll tell you something about Angela Pitt. I haven't agreed with her on a lot of things, but what I can tell you, what I know about her is that she actually legitimately cares about her constituents. She cares about Derek. She cares that Derek feels that way. She's that kind of person. She's not perfect, but you know, we have a lot of politicians these days who don't really give a shit about any of us. We just watched one of them cross the floor federally about to prop up the minority liberal government. But Angela's not like that. She's a real person, a real woman who actually cares about her constituents.
Yeah, I've never met her, but I can tell you that Derek there is just, you know, polling his NDP friends, and this is literally what this is. I've had many calls on me to start recalls for every NDP MLA, but at the end of the day, like I'm just going to sit here and keep doing what I'm doing. Do we really want to stoop to their level? That's my question. Do we really want to, like, is this politics now? Is this that? To me, it's not worth the time. Let's let these recalls go through. There's a lot of rules they have to follow. So if you ever see a canvasser coming to your neighborhood, demand to see their identification and where they live. A canvasser is not allowed. So I can't go to Airdrie to canvass for this. I have to be from Airdrie to do this.
Oh, okay.
So people need to make sure if somebody comes to your door to canvass for this recall petition, that they're from your constituency. They are from your riding. And if they're not, the recall is thrown out right there. Provide proof, send it to Berta Proud, or send it to whistleblower at bertaprowddad.com. We'll send it to the appropriate people. I'm in talks with them every day right now. So, yeah.
The NDP, folks, if you want to do something to get rid of this stain in our province that we call the NDP, the literal anus of Alberta that draws a circle right around Edmonton every election year, all you have to do is use your heads, filter out the signal from the noise, and the NDP and the ATA, it's the same noise right now, and stay on course. Just stay the course. What's going on with the NDP right now, in the last federal election, they didn't even keep party status. The NDP is not a provincial and federal body. They're the same group, and they're in huge trouble. That's why this is going on. They lost their party status, which means they don't get the tax money that they anticipated they were getting. They borrowed $35 million to run their federal campaign, didn't get party status. Now they can't pay it back. So those banks and those donors are now in serious trouble because the maximum contributions have been way blown and there's no money to pay it back. So they're crashing and burning, and them using the teachers and the students and the parents and the Alberta taxpayer in general to try and get some shred of power. This is just, it's like, what do they call that? Death when you're flopping, when you're dying. That's what it is.
Death rattle, or
death flopping.
Like
death flopping.
Death flopping. Yeah, flopping around because you're about to die.
Yeah,
that's what's going on with their party, and it's because people have woken up to the fact that they don't give a crap about anything except for the power that they get. Jagmeet Singh, perfect example. Stayed in just till he got his golden ticket pension, and then just retired. You know, knew that the party was going to crash and burn. Didn't care. He got what he wanted, just like all of them.
Yeah, but talk about the people who prop that up the whole time, right? and oh, he's not there for his pension. He's not there for his pension. Where's the accountability on these people? And that's the thing. People are allowed to say whatever they want. And when I get held accountable every single day for my actions. I lost my job for this shit. And when I go to try to hold somebody else accountable, it's, you're trying to dox me, you're harassing me, I'm such a victim. It's like, fuck sakes, where are we at in society? And if you look at what's happening, so you got Jagmeet Singh, who holds the balance of power, who was, quote unquote, a prime minister, literally. And then he leaves, and then his party loses party status. They're still holding the balance of power. Literally, why the first reading of the budget goes through today is because the NDP, right? So you have 7 MPs that are able to control Canada right now.
Yeah,
it's
What'd
insane.
you think of the budget?
That's exactly how the budget is going to go through, as well as crossing the floor. Somebody just asked, I said, I thought NDP provincial and federal are separate entities. They are not. They're the only party in which the NDP federal has a branch office in your province. But if it's liberal or different versions of the Conservative Party, they're all different. So
when you vote NDP, you're actually voting for the feds.
You are, absolutely are.
Yeah. What did you think of the budget? Must have been good. I mean, we've got a banker as our prime minister. Must have been fantastic budget.
Oh man,
most expensive budget since it's one of the most expensive budgets we've ever seen. It's got nothing in there of any substance. It's got spend policy, and our great grandchildren are going to be paying for this. I did a video. I said anybody who supports this budget is a traitor to this country, because they absolutely are. Why isn't a pipeline being pushed straight through? He's been in office for 7 months. He could have done something as soon as he got in office. We could start infrastructure, manufacturing. We can do all this. Instead, he's been on how many trips overseas, done how many photo ops, and has done literally nothing for this country. Nothing. Yeah. And they're still propping him up. This is how, retarded the left is.
Well, Brookfield secured a bunch of contracts.
Absolutely insane. What's
yes,
that?
They did.
Brookfield secured a bunch of contracts.
Exactly. Right. I rest my case, Your Honor.
Alberta's not going to let this stand. Let me show you something. My friend Thomas and I, we've been talking about this for quite a while, and he actually did a lot of work on this. He did a fantastic job. And now, as a result of my friend Thomas's work, Alberta is going to be the leader to fix this thing. Watch this. You were on this too a little while ago.
Let's go to this flashback to Premier Daniel Smith remarking on Thomas Lukaszik's petition, signature collection campaign. It's not as though he wasn't warned that this was an actual referendum on separatism that he was trying to bring forward, but even Smith pointed it out.
Mr. Lukaszik's vote is a yes-no question. It is a separatist referendum. He may be trying to characterize it differently, but if you ask people if you want to remain in Alberta, yes or no, there are implications if people answer no. Mr. Lukaszik.
There you go, Marty.
There you go.
Yep.
Great show too, by the way, the Buffalo Roundtable. I've been a guest on there as well. Great show. Everybody should check that out.
Sadly, the way that is actually being done up is it's a policy question, not a constitutional question. So if he was a constitutional question prior to the July 1st changeover, in which Alberta Prosperity Project is now doing the new rules, they would have needed 20% of the voting public, which would have been 600,000. So they only got 450,000. So, and likewise, it was written down as a policy. So the policy itself needed 300,000. Yes, they probably got that. Maybe we'll see how it all filters down. But they can't just all of a sudden, if they had 650,000 as an example, they couldn't just say, well, it was a policy. Now we want to change it over to an actual constitutional, because it wasn't written.
But there's a big but in there. Just like the people that Alex Stein is advocating to stay in the United States. That's another story.
No.
It's up to the government to decide what the question is. So when he did that, when he filled out that form, he actually selected that he wants it to go to referendum. So he's asked that question on whether or not Alberta should stay in Canada to go to referendum. Mm-hmm. Now it's the government's job to decide how that question is framed. Now, if you put yourself in a fiscally conservative premier seat and you say, okay, well, this referendum is going to cost roughly $20 million. and you look at the possible outcomes. And if the referendum question, the question is, do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada? And if it comes back as yes, you just spent $20 million, nothing changes. If the answer comes back and no, you just spent $20 million and still nothing changes because it's a policy. It's not a binding constitutional question. So if you're a fiscally conservative, responsible premier and you're going to spend $20 million, you're going to make it count. You're going to have a question that says something like, do you agree that Alberta should cease to be a province of Canada and become its own a sovereign nation and cease to be a province in Canada?
Yeah.
A real question with an answer that has teeth and ends the debate once and for all. So, while I don't agree with some of the things my good friend Thomas says, I'm really proud of him that he was able to get the referendum question on Alberta secession on the ballot next year. That's cool.
Yeah, he didn't like me too much during the municipal elections. I had people sending me pictures of them outside of polling stations. The biggest one was in Beaver Lodge, and people can deny it all they want, but they were literally in the same building.
Yes.
It was absolutely insane. But I think I'm gonna send Thomas a big bag of dicks as a thank you. Is what I'm gonna do. Thanks, Thomas.
Chocolate dick.
We used to sell chocolate dicks on the website, and then we got in a little bit of fire for it. So we're not going to do that, but I might bring them back just for this. Thomas, if you're watching, let me know how many dicks you want, please.
That was probably a really hard sell.
Chocolate dicks.
We had jelly ones too, flavored jelly ones. They were great. We actually sold some to an OnlyFans.
That was a soft sell.
Yeah, it was. If that one was a soft sell. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was crazy, right? Well, you got to keep grifting. That's the thing. You got to keep the grift up, right? How do I make money?
It's how it pays for these shows, this entertainment. Yeah,
100%.
How do you think I bought that old gaming console? I mean,
exactly.
The grift was strong in that one.
Yeah,
I got to sell more T-shirts so I can buy more gym equipment.
Yeah, there you go.
BertaProudDad.com.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, check out his stuff. It's quite entertaining. I love your merch.
Yeah, I'll bring you some up there to the Whistle Stop, and we'll have some lunch. And I don't know, maybe we can both deliver the bag of dicks to Thomas together.
I know what to do.
I tried following his bus around this year when he was going to all these different locations, and I just couldn't keep up with it because all they would do is they would post, "We are here," and let's just say it's noon, and they'd say, "We're in this area from 2 till 3." And then it's like, well, how do I get over there? Because I'm across town or whatever. They almost did that on purpose, I think.
Yeah.
You know how they did that?
Yeah.
Do you know how they did that? You have to agree. Well, you don't have to agree. Would you agree with me that Tom's ability to collect 456,000 signatures in 3 months was very impressive?
It was a good use of AI in order to amass the needed bodies where they needed to be and how they were going to.
That's exactly what he did. He ran and he hired an AI firm. AI looked at everything that was going on in the province, where all the volunteers lived, what their capacities were, those types of things, I think. And then it literally did schedules and deployed those volunteers to everywhere in Alberta where there was going to be people gathered. That's how that was done.
Yeah.
As opposed to what we have for Alberta Prosperity Project, which is really just the contact of anyone that's made the pledge to say that they will sign, and we will contact them either via phone, email, whatever it is, knock on their door, or even just tell them, hey, we're going to be, look at this. We've got a map here. There's 100 people within this community center. We're going to tell them that we're going to be there on a Saturday afternoon. Just come and sign. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not implementing AI. I guess maybe we should. Maybe we should get him on our team to find out.
100% Definitely. We've got to start going where the people are. We've been relying up until this point on people coming to us to hear the message. No, we need to go there. We need to go where the people are and have these conversations face to face and try and undo some of the lying and propaganda that was done by the Forever Canadian crews. Because that's what it was.
And there was a lot of it. There was a lot of it coming out. And if you look at them, who they were targeting as well were your older generation people, right? You know, if you look at the Forever Canadian volunteer group, you know, if liberalism had a poster, that's literally what the Forever
Oh,
Canadian Volunteer Group, that's
absolutely.
who they were. Because we all know, like, liberals, they look a certain way, right, and they talk a certain way, and we've seen it. But that's everywhere I saw. I never actually got to run in. I was hoping when I was going to vote in the municipal election that they were going to be there. I was praying that they were going to be there, but they weren't. So
That would have been awesome. Unfortunately, I saw pictures of a lot of people that I thought were, real strong, conservative, smart. They were there doing photo ops with Tom, advocating for, for status quo, and that was really
Really?
disappointing to watch. Pete Guthrie was one of them, actually.
Really?
That was surprising.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
Wow.
But a lot of this is we grew up, and I always go back to this. We grew up in the day of Mr. Mr. Dressup, and we
Polka
grew
Dot Girl.
up with the idea of TV shows and radio and the media, and we all were Canadian. We all had Canadian flags. We all wore our Canadian jerseys and blah 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 blah. And I mean, even this year we still did the Jays. But the idea of Canada the way it is or was the way it was is long since dead.
Yeah.
And I've said that to so many people, and they agree with me, because it is not the same. It's not the same just going to a grocery store anymore. Food costs, who's there? Like the whole methodology of I have to check in through my own groceries. All of that stuff, all added together. And people will say, well, you're just getting old and you're not following the technology. No, the people that are still voting to be in Canada still have that mentality of the Mr. Dressup era, right? They really do think that we're still back in the 70s and the 80s. Things will get changed, things will get better, and they're hoping that Mr. Carney will be able to get us through this whole hump, and damn Trump because he pissed us off, elbows up, and it just irks me to realize, for them not to realize that we are never going back to that situation again. We are never going to have our lives back I'll say 2015. Right?
Well,
is there anyone out there that actually believes that our prime minister, a man who would literally sacrifice his own child to the woke mind virus, does anybody actually believe that he wouldn't sacrifice the country to wokeism?
exactly. 100%. And that's, you're exactly correct. Because look at his own child, right? And I don't like to bring children into anything, but he actually did it himself. And you're absolutely correct with that. But like, I'll just tell people, like, viewers that are watching right now or watch the replay, like, I've never been to an APP event in my life, and I've told people that, right? I was supposed to go to the one in Chestermere, but I ended up being in Northern Ontario, just for my other company. But I'm going to get out to an APP event, and then I'm going to do my own homework and do my own due diligence, right? And that is super important, and that's what I'm trying to encourage everybody to do is because I've talked with people. A lot of my followers go to APP events, and they go to every event.
Yes, there's usually cookies.
Yeah, well, there you go, right? And well, then I'm
He's
coming
coffee
for
and
sure.
water.
I would have been there a year ago if you would have told me that, right? But the thing is I'm going to go check it out for myself, and I'm going to share my thoughts and experiences on that, honestly. But after I seen what happened today, over the past 48 hours, let's call it, if you're still sitting there at home and you're saying, yeah, there's still hope for Canada, you're nuts. You're nuts.
Turn off
And,
CBC. Yeah,
absolutely. And Chris said it before, Canada can be saved if Alberta leaves, right? And he has said that. And I'm not going to say I 100% agree with that, because I need to go and educate myself some more, but at least I'm going to take the time.
Yeah.
Right? At least I'm going to take the time and go and see it. And I see a comment there from Tina. She mentioned earlier, like, yes, I'm still a UCP member, and I'm going to be at the AGM. And no, I'm not going to be hijacking the AGM with anything. I'm going to be at the AGM actually as press. I have a media pass for the AGM, so I'm going to be there as press. So you're going to see me in the flesh doing what I do. But the thing is I really want to get out to an event, and I want to see it for myself, and I want to educate myself, because we have to do something. right? But a lot of people already they frame me as a separatist. I want what's best for Alberta, and I'll tell you that right now. I want what's best for the future of Alberta. And if that means after all my due diligence is done and my education and I've done my research, if that means separation, then you'll see me come out and say separation, right? But I talk to people. I like to ask questions. I like to do my due diligence, and that's what's getting me out to an APP event, is because I've done my due diligence and I want to see what it's all about.
Well, that is important. And here's a challenge for you folks. If you're out there and you're watching and you're yelling at your screen saying, "No, we need to stay in Canada, forever Canadian, forever status quo, forever tyranny of Ottawa," I mean, forever Canadian. Here's a challenge for you. Come to an APP event. Try and pick one where both Mitch Sylvester and Dr. Modry are speaking.
Yes.
Maybe you can catch one where those two men and me are speaking. And I will guarantee you 100%, if you go in there with an open mind and you separate your emotional responses from what your brain tells you, you will leave that meeting as an independence-minded Alberta who would vote either no on Thomas's question or yes to our question, which is, do you agree that Alberta should become a sovereign nation and cease to be a province of Canada? You will become an independence-minded Alberta. And the reason for that is because the truth doesn't care about your feelings. Facts don't care about your feelings. Facts didn't care about my feelings when I felt the emotional attachment to Canada, and I just thought, no, we just need to fix this because I love this country. The truth didn't care. And the more I got into it and the more I learned, I couldn't deny it.
Yeah, you're right. Mary Wall says your shirt should say unapologetically Albertan instead of unapologetically conservative. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking
about? It does say that.
There it is. There it is.
What?
Yeah.
What?
It does say that.
Nice. Alberta does have we do have a culture. Trudeau said we don't. We really do.
Yeah, we absolutely do, 100%. And I'm proud of the culture, right? Are we perfect? No, nobody's perfect. But you know what? I would like to make the most close to perfect home that I can. And we're always going to have hiccups. We're always going to have things in the way. But that's, I believe as Albertans, we're stronger than many other provinces, and we take the shirts off our backs for the people we despise. And we always have done that because we believe in something better for the future, or at least that's what I believe in anyway.
Yeah. People are scared of change, but when you actually have the control of the change, you shouldn't be as scared. And the reason is because look what happened during COVID. We were forced into a situation. I lost my businesses, and that was not my control. But if I was given the opportunity and someone said, you know what, we're going to be doing this, I think it's time to pivot and change. You can do this. Then at least then I would have had the power in order to make that change. Here, it was not given to me at all, and it was steamrolled right over top of me. And that's what really woke up Chris and I in terms of what can we do better? What can we do better in terms of our own family? What can we do better in terms of our towns and cities and our province? And this, Alberta Proud, when you go to one of those APP meetings, I guaranteed you will realize that, especially if Dr. Modry is talking, and he'll talk to you about the history and why we're looking at this path. And when Mitch comes on and does his slide presentation, usually, and you see the actual slides and actual pictures and videos of the news and everything that's going on, and you're into it because you do your own stuff anyways, you will recognize that, there is no other way out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll make sure I'm at one of those events, and I'm also going to make sure to do a post letting everybody know that I'm going to be at that event to encourage other people to come as well, right? And we can all learn together.
Sell your sweat.
Exactly.
I will never sell anything at somebody else's event. People asked me, are you going to be selling merch at the UCP event? UCP even told me I could sell merch at their event. I will never sell merch at my event. I might tell them to go to BertaProudDad.com, but I just don't like mowing other people's lawn. I know my stuff's popular, Carrie. I know it's popular.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to work for it.
Yeah. When we were,
I'm not ignoring you. I'm actually ordering pizza from my restaurant, which you can do at https:// order/ toasttap.com
so intuitive.
I've never-
QR code that does that.
or something. Yeah, something like that. It's on my Facebook page. You can order online.
I'm gonna do that now on my videos.
Nice.
Get yours at http://www.
No, you don't have to put any of that in there, people. All you need, you don't even have to www. All you need to do is just BertaProudDad.com.
Yeah, that's all. I see you can order, and you know what? I fueled up at the Whistle Stop Cafe once. That's all I've ever done there. I was working out of a mirror actually at one point in time. But I've never eaten there, and I'm definitely going to make a stop that way. The next time I'm heading north, I'm going to take a large detour, and I'm going to go through there.
It's a very
make sure you give me a heads up. I'll try and be there.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to order pizza from the parking lot at HTTPS.
Our pizza is like phenomenal. We had like really good pizza before, and I did the crust kind of like, I like Boston pizza, I like Panago, so I kind of did something similar to that. And then one of my pizza cooks, Ken, he started fiddling with some like artisan pizza crust. Oh my freaking goodness, delicious.
Good, eh?
Yeah, really good.
Nice. Yeah, I'll check it out.
So now that I'm salivating, where were we? What were we talking about?
We were talking about everything, and what I wanted to do is at least get back to some of the things that we were talking about. Of course, the ostriches here, and it sounds like the comments, and again, we don't have the feed going, but it sounds like they've all been culled already, which is absolutely just, it's gut wrenching to even think that.
What kind of a person do you have to be to do that?
You know what? They're following orders, aren't they? They're just following.
I was just following orders. Yeah.
Speaking of stupid, we were talking about the condition of the country and why we're in the situation. When I say people are stupid, I don't mean that they're not intelligent or, they can't make some good decisions. Stupidity is a failure to act in a moral way when it's required of you. And that's, if you haven't watched it already, watch Bonhoeffer from Angel Studios. It goes into how the German people allowed Adolf Hitler to actually infiltrate their churches and institutions, changing the Bible, changing their philosophy, preaching his message from the pulpit. And they were so stupid, not intelligent, like these are learned people. They were stupid in that they let it happen and they didn't speak up. And, same thing with the ostriches. There's been people there for, it's not the same thing. It's a similar theory. They've been there for months, almost a year protesting and trying to raise public awareness. The United States has chimed in. Dr. Oz chimed in. The Secretary of Health, Kennedy, has chimed in saying, this is stupid, Canada. Why are you doing this, you retards? We'll take them and study them. And, even now people from our side, they're COVID birds. They need to be killed. It's all a grift. Poof! The government is literally tyrannizing a farm, tyrannizing people's property, not allowing them to due process. The Supreme Court wouldn't even hear the appeal.
That's the big thing.
And people can't even unite enough on the idea that people should have their personal property respected.
Yeah, you're right.
Ridiculous.
I'm just trying to look at the feeds here. Yeah, and last feed I checked, but that was a half hour ago. 122 gunshots were heard so far.
Wow.
Yeah, it's I said right around the Freedom Convoys when we all were there. After this, it's going to be easier for the government to keep chipping and chiseling away at our rights, and it truly has been. They truly just because humans we want instant gratification all the time, right? And that works the same way. We expect that the government's just going to come in and put communism on us right away. No, they're going to do it over 45, 50 years. And eventually your kids, your great grandkids will never know the freedoms that you once had. And look at just at our short lives, from when we were kids to where we are now. Look at how less free we are today. And the lefties could say all day, how are you less free? Give me a break. There's rules on everything. We're moving ourselves towards a social credit score or system as at full speed. If you need to look at anything, look at the UK. If you want to see where we're headed, look at the UK.
The whole of Europe is about 2 to 3 years ahead of us. And what's going on there right now is just ludicrous. I was there a couple of years ago, and I was trying to tell people, look at what the government's doing to farmers, and mostly falls on deaf ears. But that's where we're going.
Yeah, that's exactly where we're going.
Same
Yeah,
thing.
we've had
Actually,
Jasper come here from the Netherlands and tell us exactly what's going on over there. And it really is. It's probably like just a year or two ahead.
Yeah.
And especially now, look what's happening in London, overrun with Muslims. I'm going to say that anyways. And a Muslim mayor, and things are just going wacko over there. And now
What happened in New York?
I was just going to get to there, and that's exactly it. It's like, because it's now the norm. Or is it the norm? Or is it just that they brought in so many Muslims in order to vote for that? Although
Great replacement
watching
theory.
the feeds, it looks like they were ready for some change, and they didn't know what it was. And he seemed charismatic, and they voted for him, not really knowing what they were voted for.
I just got to quickly point this out, and then we'll talk about that some more. When I was in Holland, I learned about a policy that there was a problem with the sheep, like the shepherd people, the people that raise sheep. There was wolves coming in from Germany, the wolves that were expelled from Holland over, a couple hundred years by farmers, either relocating them or killing them because they're killing their livestock. Anyway, they're coming back, and the farmers, get this, they're not allowed to destroy those animals. They're not allowed to destroy the wolves because they're endangered, because they're a black wolf from Germany or whatever. But the farmers say, no, these aren't those. These are something else. They're different. This isn't what we remember. And the government said, we're going to fine you 150,000 euros if you test them to see what they are.
Really?
You cannot do that. What did they say about the ostriches? We're going to fine you $200,000 if you test them to see if they're sick. So you see the parallels, like with the ostriches, they don't give a crap about the ostriches. They don't give a crap about the farmer. They don't give a shit about the ecosystem. They care about control. Same thing with the wolves. They don't care about the farmer or the sheep. All they care about is using that as a control mechanism.
Yep. They're eroding our rights and freedoms away, and we are just giving it to them. And when we get called out every single day for standing up against them, and there's a lot of work to do to wake your neighbors up, to wake your peers up. We have to do something, because you can't just go down silently. I don't know. I was never raised that way, and I know a lot of other people weren't raised that way as well. But we got to do something.
Yeah, and it's so bad now that people are so asleep that they will literally cheer and celebrate when somebody is elected to a position of power, like the mayor of New York, whose ideology would have them thrown off rooftops for their views and their lifestyle. Janice Irwin, I watched her post about celebrating that this dude was elected as the mayor of New York, and then you look into who he is and what his values are and what he believes, and they want Janice Irwin dead, but she's asking for that.
Yeah. Well, Janice Irwin never made it as a teacher, so she moved to one of the wokest fucking politicians there are. And it's unfortunate to see how she's transformed herself. Everything about her is about her ideology, right? And it's her way or the highway. And if you speak out against it, like I have, she's mentioned, was it last week, that Berta Proud Dad's bullying me. No, I'm speaking out against what you believe in, and it's my right to do so. I'm not bullying you. I'm not harassing you, and I'm not trying to get people to harm you. I'm saying what you're doing and the stuff you push is harming children, and that's my opinion, and I'm allowed to have it. And she took it as I was bullying her, and her little followers went along with it, and it's pathetic to see how, like, I don't idolize politicians, right? Do I support Danielle Smith right now? Absolutely. I'm a Danielle Smith supporter. I've said that. But do I idolize Danielle Smith? No. She's a human being, and she's got a job to do. I've never been one to idolize politicians myself, but these people, literally, the left, what I find from them is they idolize politicians.
Yeah.
They think that they are the be all and end all, and they're not. And that's how the left gets away with this stuff. They can do no wrong, these politicians. You can sweep everything under the rug, and your supporters will just blindly follow.
Do you realize by Christmas you likely won't have that right anymore?
I heard that.
We're looking at, we're going to have a liberal majority government, because if there had been an election, I think they would have lost. They probably would have lost. Conservatives probably would have won, just because of the state of things. They're not going to hold an election now. What they've done instead is they've incentivized other MPs to cross the floor so that they increase their numbers on that side of the House and have a majority. Once Carney has that majority, he's going to ram through those bills that we've been talking about, warning people about for a couple of years now. One of them is the Online Harms Act.
Yep.
We're like, by Christmas, that's probably going to be federal law. And the only thing, Bird Proud Dad and Carrie, that's going to protect people like you and me from going to jail or huge fines is our provincial government and the Alberta sovereignty within the United Canada Act. That's the only thing that's going to protect us. But our social media is probably going to be destroyed.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I was just talking. Sorry, Carrie. I was just talking to a lady tonight, and we were talking about documentaries and stuff. And I said, "Yeah, believe it or not, there's people out there that might want to do a documentary on me." What? But anyway, I was like, "Well, maybe the documentary can be on me claiming political asylum in the United States of America, right? Because if we keep going down this path, that's exactly what it's going to be." But anyway, sorry, Carrie.
Well, all I was going to say is in the UK, right as soon as that law came in, they had 12,000 people arrested or fined for basically speaking on social media that was against the government. And I'm just waiting for that. And if you followed me on Instagram or on Twitter or whatever like that, I always have my Carney little picture going there. So I was, Carrie's arrested under 872 counts of whatever. And that could happen. Absolutely could happen. I'm not backing down, because back in the day, we just talked about that back in the Mr. Dressup days, we were able to do that. I mean, there were TV shows prior to this hour at 22 minutes and all that were actually good, and they poked fun at all the politicians and celebrities and all that sort of stuff. Now we're so far on the other side of the woke that we're afraid to even do that. Right?
You know what you couldn't do back then, though?
What's that?
You couldn't groom children and put pornographic cartoons.
No, you are absolutely correct that we couldn't do that.
Thanks, Janice Irwin. Janice Irwin. Huge.
Way to go.
One of the biggest reasons why that stuff is there and was there for so long is the likes of Janice Irwin. And people wonder why I just can't stand her. Does she prefer her or they, them? I haven't looked at her bio. I need to look at that.
Oh, guys, I'm sure she's a perfectly nice.
It's okay. She's not going to watch this. She's not going to watch this. It's fine.
I have my podcast studio. It'll be complete in 3 weeks. Naheed Nenshi, Janice Irwin. I've already sent invites out to them to come onto the show, because you know what? You have to give them a voice. You have to give them an opportunity to speak on them for themselves.
I agree. I do agree.
But I don't think they're going to come onto the show.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sweet if they did.
Yeah, it would be. Honestly, it totally would. And I would, if she wanted to be called it, I would call her it. I'd have to. It would sound weird, but it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Well, because you're a gentleman. You're a nice guy. You're not gonna be mean to people. You're just gonna call out their opinions.
Yeah. Yeah. But Janice Irwin, if you do ever see this, which is highly, well, you know what? I'll send you. I'm going to share this with you on the only platform that you don't have me blocked on, Janice, and then hopefully you'll come on. But I'll tell her to check at around 1 hour, 5 minutes into the show. So
yeah. Exactly.
Here's something to think about. I'm sure that Janice Irwin is a perfectly nice person. She probably is. Most of these people that we kind of shit on a little bit, they're probably just someone's son, daughter, mother. People love them. They love people. They're human beings. They have different opinions. The difference is, I'm not going to go out and say that I want them arrested for speaking what they want.
That part.
But they do that with me. I'm not going to go and tell them, I'm not going to tell them what choices they should make. I'm just going to say, hey, make your own choices, live your life, but leave my kids alone, right? Mm-hmm. But they want to do the opposite to me. They want me to be removed from the decision making with my children in school. They're actually advocating for that. That's the difference. They call themselves inclusive and progressive and all this stuff, but they're not. They're not inclusive, and they're really regressive with the way they think about rights and freedoms and things like that.
Yep. They want everybody silenced. And it doesn't matter how we get silenced, right? Yeah. And we just saw that with members of the Freedom Convoy. They're appealing their decisions, and they will get blood, is what I feel like, and that's why part of me actually believes that there will be a time in this country where what we're doing right now will have us thrown in jail.
Not if Alberta has anything to say about it.
That's true. That's true.
And again, if that's what ends up happening is
I lost the sound.
Alberta becomes its own country, then again, it's the question of how does that infrastructure work? How would we have our own telecommunications? How would we have our own airlines and all that sort of stuff? Those are all questions that are legitimate questions. We do have some answers, but I mean, when it comes down to, who owns the Rogers Towers, well, Rogers does, but then Alberta would end up making negotiation in order to get them and blah, 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 blah. We don't have all the answers as to how this is all going to play out. But
you know what, though?
To be able to have our own Alberta network.
Well, that's an interesting take, right? And again, like I said, I've never been to an APP event, but I've been in the discussions and conversations and comment sections and back and forth with people about, separation and what would it look like. And it's almost like the people who are against it just refuse to think logically, because if you cease to be a part of Canada anymore and you become your own country and you are now separated, you are obviously going to make deals with infrastructure, with railways, with airways, with trade arrangements. Like, you're going to have to make deals, right? And who is our biggest customer going to be? And they hate when I say this. Who's our biggest customer going to be? It's going to be the United States. And who's the second biggest customer? Canada. Canada is literally going to need our resource. And
East and West.
Yeah, exactly, right? And they just don't understand it. They just don't want it. They have the blinders on. They don't want to talk about it. And they don't understand clearly how business works. Because if it ever comes down to the time where we are our own country, you will have every single sector in this country lining up at Alberta's doors knocking for a deal.
Bingo. Yeah. And if you want more information on that, folks, let me show you something here. This isn't a shameless plug at all. I mean, no, it's I don't know why this merch is rolling across the screen on my website, www.whatstoptruckstop.ca. Recently revamped website with more merch. Anyway, if you scroll down, you're going to find my blog. And there's a couple on there that if you're interested in the idea of Alberta independence, you really should read. Alberta Rising, Embracing a Bold Path to Independence. Alberta Independence, Necessary and Inevitable. And what business, this one's really long. What business have you with me, Your Majesty? This one here, Alberta Independence, Necessary and Inevitable, it answers most of those questions. Like almost everything you could ask. And I even took the time to include things in there that were arguments against the idea, and I talk about them and I turn those into rationale for Alberta independence. So please, if you get a chance, take a half hour out of your day, go read that, send me a message, tell me what you think. If you think that I'm wrong about some things, I want to hear about it. And actually, that reminds me, I actually did have a guy from Edmonton who asked to meet with me and talk about some of these things, the economic side. And, I can write and I can read and I can use my brain, but I'm not an economist. I'm still just a waitress. So I'm going to try and meet with the guy with Tanner today. But the idea is, if you have something that you think is not going to work, I want to know, because we need to start talking about it now, because Alberta independence is necessary and it's inevitable. It's going to happen.
I'm also going to get the Christmas tree ornament from the whistlestoptruckstop.com. And it is going to be on my tree. And I suggest everybody in here go and get that ornament. If you can pull that up for them all to see.
Nothing like having a big shot of Chris right on their tree, right?
That's going to be a 100% for sure, Carrie.
My wife's going to have something to say about it. I'm doing it.
So the idea with this was that, say that one of my haters, one of my trolls, whatever, how fantastic would it be for you to just, that's a small fringe one.
Yeah.
How fantastic would it be for you to just take one of these beautiful ornaments and hang it on their tree and not say anything? Wouldn't that be hilarious?
That's smart.
Yeah. And then have them walk up to the tree. What the hell?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
I think it'd be funny.
I think everybody should go get one, and everybody put it on their trees to celebrate Chris. And yeah.
Carrie, do you mind pulling up birdprouddad.com?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
they're going to ban Christmas. I thought about actually calling that a Christmas decoration and forgetting the T. But then I was like, no, Christmas is about Christ, even though it's a holiday that was hijacked by Romans to combat paganism, and Christ wasn't really born in that time. But, it's still Christmas.
Yeah.
So I didn't. Anyway, there you go. BirderProudDad.com. Stay offended. I love that. The nice thing about people being offended is that then they can actually have a discussion about it, or at least that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, 100%. It's people don't like the fact that I say be offended, but guess what? You have every right to be offended. I just choose to never be offended. And it goes back to the whole triggers are not, your triggers are not my responsibility and my triggers are not yours, right? And, I get a lot of questions like throughout all this teacher stuff and you're getting attacked everywhere and your wife's getting attacked. How do you put up with it? My triggers are nobody else's responsibility, right? I can choose to be offended today by, these are brand new. These are brand new, what you're pulling up here. Yeah, these are limited release. We're only selling them till the 20th. And we're going to come out with a new one every year. So you're going to be able from now till the end of time, I won't tell them dead or Berta Jr. takes over. You're gonna be able to go and get these collector's editions. So send that to your favorite Liberal, and it'll be great. But only available till the 20th because we want people to be able to wear them for the Christmas sweater seasons. Yeah.
What was the most popular shirt?
If you go back to all products, it is all listed. That's why it looks like a mess.
That's a good one. Yeah.
From the top to bottom is basically the most popular to the least popular on the website.
Look at that one there, left-hand side. No balls in women's stalls.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
that's a hot seller.
Sticker that people can just stick on the door of the women's washroom wherever they go.
We should actually. We should. Stand on Guard was really, really big. These ones here, I came out with the signs first. This is the sign that went viral, but I came out with these decals afterwards. This made mainstream news, and people were trying to hijack that it was theirs when it actually wasn't. I made this actually taking a shit, and
that's thinking.
Yeah, and I was like, it was right after I watched a video. In the States, they say, your freedom ends where my freedom begins. It's a very common saying that they say down there. And this was just when that man, when people broke into the house in Ontario and they executed the husband in the house during that home invasion. I was just watching that video and I was like, holy shit. So I came up with this on the shitter.
And there's a lawn sign too, right?
There's a lawn sign. The lawn signs are the ones that went viral. Then people said, well, what if I don't have a lawn? I live in an apartment or something. So I came out with the actual decals. That's my Sovereign Alberta hat right there. Basically, that's the Drill Baby Drill sticker. But the Sovereign Alberta hat, I designed that logo. It's up there. Yeah. So basically what that is there's your province, right? With the shield. But what that crack is, it represents breaking away from Canada. That's what that's there for.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, there's lots of stuff on there. We've done the plug now.
Yeah, and like I said, I got gym equipment to buy. Chris has more pizzas to buy, so make sure you go buy our shit.
Yeah. Please buy my stuff.
Yeah, please.
I have flights to visit my daughter in Portland. Sorry, did I? Yeah, no, that's very much the truth. So yeah, that is the truth for sure, and 100%. That's the thing. We like to make fun of the grift because people call us that every day, right? Like for me, for instance, I put a commercial in the end of every video. Do you know how much money people pay influencers to promote their products? Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Why the hell would I not be promoting my own? Right? And I asked ChatGPT the other day. I put my sales in, and I put the fact that I spend $0 on advertising and marketing, and they said I'm in the top 1% in Canada in the online e-commerce market.
Wow.
Because I do not have to spend money on marketing.
That's right. You're your own marketer.
Yeah. So if you guys want to call me a grifter, call me a grifter all day. It's all good. We do a lot of charity work with that money, a ton of charity work with that money.
That's awesome.
I can tell you about everything we do, and then I tell people, and then they're like, "Oh, now you just want recognition. You can't win. You can't win."
No, I agree.
Well, it's none of their business what you do with your money anyway. If you care what he does with his money, don't give him your money. Shut the hell up.
Exactly.
Period.
100%. And everybody likes wearing the stuff, and it's been seen all over Canada, not just Alberta. I was in Costco the other day, and a guy was walking by with my this shirt on, actually, and I walked up to him and shook his hand. He's like, "Holy man!" I was like, "Hey, buddy, thanks for the support." Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
I don't
awesome.
know where my pizza is.
Well, you're so far. You're so far away, and you don't know the owner.
Well, sometimes I order. I'm only like 2-3 blocks from my restaurant, but I order because I want the delivery guy to have something to do, and I pay him a tip. So they kind of share it around a little bit.
That's true.
Well, you should write a strongly worded letter.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, or you could do like the haters do and go give you a review. Like, what the fuck is that all about?
Well, it's funny looking at the reviews for the Whistle Stop because they're all 5s and 1s. There's no 3. There's
a 3 now.
Is there a 3
Someone
now?
left a 3 the other day.
That's so bizarre.
And I would say, of all of the 1-star or negatively framed reviews that I've gotten, probably maybe 5% are legit because we're not perfect. We do things wrong, and sometimes we piss people off. It's just,
but is it worth
the way it is? What's that?
Is it worth a 1 star? Like honestly, like if I go in with expectations of giving a 5-star to a restaurant, I probably wouldn't think 4. But if they exceed, then I would give them a 5. If they don't, then I will at least talk to the manager and say, this was cold or the service was slow, and give them an opportunity to explain the reason why. Right?
But I don't look at them. I don't look at them as a scale. For me, it's a pass or fail. Either I get a 5-star review and we did our jobs and it's great, or we get something else and that's a fail to me. Like if there's anything that we needed to improve on that customer's experience, that's a fail, and we got to do better next time. So I don't look at it like that. What I'm saying is some of them are legit because we're not perfect, but the vast majority, 95% for sure, are people that have never set foot in my restaurant. They're just lashing out using Google reviews to get me because that's the only thing they can do because they're too much of pussies to come and talk to my face.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's too far.
I can only imagine if I put my business up on Google review.
You'd have lots of reviews.
It'd be all 5 and 1.
Yep.
5s and 1s. Yeah.
It would be, man, I really love the quality of the merch and fucking grifter.
Yep. And nothing in between. Yeah.
Nothing.
That's where we live right now. Everything is, the divides are there. I think they're almost insurmountable. We used to have the United States is a great example. The United States was, no matter what anyone says, founded on Christian principles. The declarations of faith are built into a bunch of the state constitutions. It was said that only works in a Christian nation. And that was what united people who were free because they had their sights were set on something higher than them. And in this country, we're trying to go secular and take God out of everything. We don't have that anymore. So the divide just keeps growing and growing and growing. And we can't fix it. All we can do is just fix our own communities, our own, what we can fix Alberta, and maybe get back to a point where we can be united on something bigger than ourselves. But it's a 5 or a 1. There's nothing in between.
For sure. Maybe I'll hold my birthday party at the Whistle Stop.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Just invite 500 people.
We could
do 5,000 there.
Yeah, we've had.
I don't know if I want 5,000.
What's the biggest crowd we've had there, Kerry? What do you think?
Well,
3,000?
many times 1,500 to 2,000.
Yep.
Right. I don't know if we had 3,000.
Well, July 1st this year was, if it wasn't 3,000, it was pretty darn close. That was the busiest I've ever seen it.
Man,
it was complete chaos.
My birthday's in February though, so my birthday's in February, so maybe we'll have to stick to 50.
Yeah, I'll have to build a bigger restaurant.
Just depends. The Chinook runs through, we're okay.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. What do you think, guys? Is there anything else that we need to talk about? Was there anything you noticed in the comments that was?
Well, I'll just I did star a couple of things, and again, I'm just gonna ramble just because it's kind of close to my heart about the budget. This is good. Craig Moritz, who we all know. I have so many friends in the music industry that won't say a goddamn thing because of Sirius XM, CBC money, factor grants, not to mention our Canadian music industry is controlled by the woke. Craig, you nailed it on the head. You know what? So, and even like I do some part-time acting as well as a musician, blah, blah, blah. And I get a big royalty check every now and then. Well, actually, you shouldn't even say that. Like monthly, I was getting a royalty check for about $12. That was it, right? But it was being played. Our songs were getting played quite a bit. But now I get maybe $12 a year. Like that money has just been trickled down. But the ACTRA and the IATSE and all the unions that are putting out the performers, the musicians, you name it, they're all salivating at the $450 million grant over 3 years of this new budget. And I understand that. I get it. Like here in Alberta, if you're in the movie industry and you want a job, you got to stick with those and try and get into those particular productions that are going to happen. But man, that is money that is coming from somewhere else. And it's the same thing. And I know I'm going to poke a couple of bears on here, but it's the same thing with teachers, same thing with nurses, doctors, any service industry or anything like that. That is money that is coming from somewhere else. That is money that's coming from a product or a manufacturer or something like that that goes through the whole tax system in order to get back to those people that are basically services. And this is exactly the same thing that happens with movie rights. We're relying an awful lot on being able to get the grants in order to do these big productions, in order to bring US dollars up into Alberta, to do Yellowstone or Montana-based type of scenes that cannot be done down there because they just don't have the tax credits that they do here. So here up in Canada, we give them the tax credits and we give them basically money to do this. And of that, let's say $500 million or whatever goes to CBC. Yes, a lot of it will go to Heartland and a lot of it will go to some kids programming, blah, blah, blah. So it's not all just to the news. But man, like when you take a look at that and you see how much money is actually being used properly, and people, like I said, they're salivating over the $450 million over 3 years. I just think that is money that at some point someone is going to say that should be going somewhere else. It should be going to a hospital or it should be going to somewhere else. And there is no easy way to say yes or no to this budget, but that money is, it'd be nice to have some of that money and be able to do shows like this, but we will never get the opportunity to do that.
Maybe it can be used to help one of the dozen veterans in either Calgary or Edmonton that are going to die in the cold this winter.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And that's kind of the thing, if we want to go back to like in all seriousness, is there's a lot of problems out there and there's a lot of things. And I can tell you for a fact, there's people doing shows like this that are getting part of that budget. And we know who they are and we can see who they are. Right. And the thing is this is why I enjoy having the clothing company, because it does allow me to come on and do these shows. And the best part about it is I'm not bought. I can say whatever I want. I can say my opinion and I can speak my opinion. And I refuse to ever become that person on that other side myself. Right. But I do get it. I do know some very high level musicians and very, very, very famous people. They follow me and they tell me in my DMs and through text message, I wish I could say what you're saying. But you're saying exactly what I'm thinking. They're out there, but they are, unfortunately, they're stuck to their job. And I do have some compassion for them. Some of these people, this is all they know, right? Sports. That's all they know is sports or singing or playing the drums or whatever it might be. It is what it is. There's enough of us out there that can go out there and speak as well. And maybe one day they'll speak up too when they can. But I'm not going to chastise somebody for having to earn a living. I've never really been that guy. But when it comes down to this budget, if we're talking about the budget, this is a bad budget. This is a bad deal for Canada and a bad deal. Oh my goodness, look
That
at
looks
that.
delicious.
I think some of that
can't
budget
wait.
needs to go to pizza.
Yeah. Hey, I got to tell you something though. Those musicians, they only think they can't say what they want to say. And the reason why they can now is because some of the biggest and most popular musicians right now are self-produced.
Yeah,
Look
it's
at
true.
Tom McDonald.
Tom McDonald,
Brett
yeah,
Kissel,
good point.
he went through that, didn't he? He got canceled by
Yeah.
his label and started his own thing, and he's doing better than ever, and he's free to do what he wants. So you know what, folks? When it comes to this kind of stuff, freedom isn't always comfortable, and being truthful and standing for your principles isn't always easy. But at the end of the day, it's better. And right now, people are starting to realize what the sacrifices people are making, and they're supporting it. So if you're one of those people and you think you can't say because you're going to lose your job, you can do this, think really, really hard about that. And know that there are millions of people out there that feel just like you that will support you. And then go and listen
that's
to
a really
Tom
good point.
Stuff. I mean, the guy's made millions just doing stuff on his own.
I think honestly, it's people that are scared to get uncomfortable, right? And I was there before where you can actually see a shift in my content after I got fired, right? Where I was towing a certain line, and now 100% I'm unemployable. There is no way that there's a corporation out there, even if they stand with me, are going to even take me on, right? So it is super important for me to push my own thing and do my own thing, because you know, I got a mortgage just like everybody else. But you know, it is so freeing, right? I think we could all speak for that. It is freeing to be able to wake up in the morning, know that you can say whatever you want, and nobody's going to fire you for it, right? You have to work a lot harder, right? We got to work a lot harder at what we're doing, but it's not, you know, there's something free about that. And I do thank everybody every single day who does support the channel and does support people like us out there speaking, because that's truly what we need.
What's happening is you're becoming sovereign over your own life. Just
Good
like
point.
Alberta needs to become sovereign over its own future. And when you do that, it is freeing for sure.
It is. It feels good. And it feels good to know that we're waking people up in the process of, not necessarily that they didn't know what was going on, but now they're starting to be vocal about it as well. What's on that pizza, by the way?
Pineapple.
Just pepperoni. That's
Just
our pepperoni pizza, or pepperoni underneath the cheese and on top.
Nice.
Yeah. My
I gotta tell
dog
my
is
wife to order a
my
pizza
dog
here.
is, I can feel her staring at me right now.
We can hear her.
Yeah, I can hear her trembling. She's a chihuahua.
Yeah.
So, all right, Carrie, have you got anything else?
No, you know what? I think we'll wrap it up. And you know, looking
You
at
can
all
wrap it up. You can wrap it up.
well, looking at all the comments today too about the ostriches, you know, it pains me to even think that we're in a country that basically let this go. You know, I know there were a few politicians that kind of stood up, but in the end, did it matter? No. But there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way, and independence is obviously the way that we're looking. But even flipping the tables on that, if that happened in Alberta, would it be in the exact same situation? I don't know, I doubt it too, because it's a different jurisdiction, right? You have the food inspection, which is a federal versus provincial. So, I mean, the same thing if we were our own country and we had our Alberta Food Inspection Agency, would we have something in place to basically stop this, or at least have a better situation than dragging it out for an entire year? And you know, some of the birds, some of the ostriches have been hurt over the last couple of months because of the way that they've been round up. It just pains me that this whole thing has even to where we are. It really is just, I never thought we would be at this situation. I thought it would go to the Supreme Court and they would actually say, you are correct, you know, let's do some more testing, and maybe it would be dragged out. But no, we didn't get to that point at all.
It wouldn't even hear it, Carrie.
No. And likewise, I mean, I did get a blip on my phone today that from CBC that the ostriches were going to be culled. That's probably the only notice I think I've ever received from the CBC on that story.
Yeah, I think, you know, my final weigh in on this will be this. It's sad. It is sad, and my heart does break. I did have Katie on the show. Her and I did talk way back when this, this is a month and a bit ago. But this is what I put out there today in regards to this. Nobody is in danger with those ostriches alive, and nobody is safer because they're dead.
Yeah.
And that right there is exactly how I feel. This is nothing but a puff of the chest and government saying, when we talk about chiseling at our rights and freedoms, this is how they do it, because they normalize this and they do this, a dozen more times. Eventually they'll just do it all the time, and everybody will forget. Well, they're going to do it anyway, right? They're going to do it anyway.
Cheering.
Yeah. And this is just another more proof that this is what they're doing. And to the people that are cheering this, get a life. That's all I got to say. Get a life. This is somebody's farm. This is somebody's livelihood. This is somebody's passion. Just get a life.
Yeah. And I don't know what's going to happen with that farm after. Like, is it quarantined for a bit before they can bring new ostriches in? Like, I don't know the situation with that.
Well, I think they're in pretty serious trouble, Kerry. And if they had just rolled over and let the CFIA do their thing, they would have paid them a considerable amount of money. Yeah. So if they hadn't stood on the principles and they had just let it happen, they would have been way better off. But I think they've probably got some debt. They're going to probably end up having to pay CFIA costs, and it's the outlook for them is not good.
No, it really isn't. It really isn't. And this is just more proof that we are more divided as a country, and on one side you have people cheering for this, and on the other side you have people crying and heartbroken, and nobody can meet in the middle at that point. And Canada's been lost a long time ago because nobody really can meet in the middle on everything. 4 years ago, I tried to do, unify. I think we can unify between the left and right and find happy ground. No, it's gone. It's gone.
Yeah. Yep. Convoy felt like a great unifying moment, and it was quickly thrown under a horse.
Yep.
Maybe we're not supposed to be unified. Maybe we're just supposed to stand up for what we believe in and let the chips fall where they may.
I think I think we're supposed to find our people and build community with our people. Yeah. That's honestly what I think.
Well, on that note, I'm going to say thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. Thank you,
thanks for having
Kerry,
me.
for taking time out of your ridiculously busy life to be here with us. Everybody appreciates it. Thanks, Bird Proud Dad, for joining us again. You always have some awesome things to say. Love your merch. Looking forward to seeing you at the next APP thing. Hopefully we'll be there together. And for those of you watching, you can take what you've learned here, what you've heard here, and you can either process it, use it, and make it part of what you can do to change your situation, change the world you live in for the better, or not. It's really up to you. But if you're going to do one thing this week, I would strongly suggest that you contact your MLA and you tell them, these are the two things that we need to do to fix this problem right now. We need to divide the collective bargaining associations, the unions, from the regulatory bodies. And then we need to affirm teachers' constitutional rights and the freedom of association by not forcing them to be part of a union if they don't want to. Do those two things. Yeah, send a letter of encouragement to Katie and her family at the Ostrich Farm. Buy some merch from birdprouddad.com. And like usual, send Kerry some love and tell him that even though he's vertically challenged, he's still tall in your eyes. Yeah. And I'm going to eat some pizza.
Thanks, guys. Okay. All right.
One more thing. Sorry, I was going to get the last word.
Always.
I did post on my personal Facebook page. Very heart-wrenching day today.
Yes.
Please read it. It's, in the grand scheme of things, it's really, compared to what we're talking about here, it's almost irrelevant. But it's one of those things that it's something that everyone can do and everyone should think about. So please read it and maybe have a t-shirt.
You're not even going to give a teaser on it?
No.
Okay.
No, but I will say I miss Romeo, that little cat.
I read it.
Okay. Well, then
I read it.
I'm going to go watch it or go read it on Facebook under Christopher Scott.
That's me.
That's it.
Okay. Night,
All
folks.
Right. Thanks. Okay. Are you signing us out or what are you doing there?
Do we stay safe? Are we
you in
supposed
charge?
to stay classy? I don't know what. Okay. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Go to the AGM. Use your voice in every political sphere that you can. Don't be silent.
Meow.